Hello, 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 boss babes. It is Sammy D in the house. We are live. Yes, we are live. Today, Saturday, October 22nd, 2022. It is 10:22:22. I only realized that the other day when I was putting together this panel that we were going live in such a powerful day of numerology. So, welcome to everyone who is tuning in live. I see a few of you are here. I so appreciate you. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Actually, let me put that up as a reminder because the more that we comment on these live panels, the more that Facebook actually pushes this out to other people's feeds so that they don't miss the chance to watch live. So I so appreciate when you guys comment. It actually, there's a lot of power to it. So I'm going to get us started here momentarily. I'm just going to see who's tuning in. I'm going to give a short introduction, share a little bit more about the purpose of today's panel, about the purpose of this weekend's Vintage Across America live sale series, premium vintage clothing and accessories from sea to shining sea. I am Sammy Davis. I am the founder and admin of Vintage Boss Babes. First created July 2019. We are coming up on our 3-year anniversary, which is so exciting. No, 4-year. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 4-year anniversary. Time flies. So let me see who is in the comments. Hello, Joanne. Thank you so much for tuning in live. And if you guys are watching live, I would appreciate if you could share this to the group. So if there's any way you can share it to the group, I didn't get a chance to, and I'm always worried that I'm going to I don't know, break my internet by doing too many things when I'm streaming. So if you could share it to the group, I would so appreciate it. Joni is tuning in. Hello, Joni. We've got Bryn in the house. We've got Nicole. So if you were making a comment on the business page, that's where I'm seeing your comments. If you're commenting in the group or on my personal page, unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't reveal your comments to me. I'm so sorry, but I will definitely get back to you. We will get back to you post live. Hello, Rashonda. It's so good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep the hellos coming. So I'm just going to get us started with a brief intro, and then I'm going to bring our amazing panelists on board. We're going to be live like the Brady Bunch, where you see all the squares in the row. If you're a vintage lover, you know the Brady Bunch intro very well. But let's first talk about the purpose of today's panel. So we live in a very, aesthetically driven social media world. We see a lot of the highlight reels. We not witness, but we read the dissemination of success typically through social media. And there isn't really an opportunity to hear things honestly and authentically unless we're having a one-on-one conversation with someone. And the power of resale is infinite, but there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows. And so I wanted to create a very honest, hopefully inspiring, motivating, again, authentic panel where our Vintage Across America sellers who are participating in this weekend's live sale events really just talk about their journey. They each have a special and unique journey to them. No one's journey is better than another's. Some of our panelists today have been in resale for 20 years. Some have been in resale for 3 years. But all of them are doing the damn thing, and they have, again, had their own chain of events in their lives. They've had to learn their own lessons, and they've had their own highs and lows. And I wanted to give them, a platform to share that with you so that whether you're in resale now, looking to be in resale, maybe you're in a whole other different business, you can glean something from today's panel. I know personally, I listen to a lot of people's stories as a business owner, because sometimes I just got to get out of my own way. I have to stop feeling sorry for myself, stop thinking that my problem is such a big problem. Perspective is everything. And so my intention for today's panel is that you guys leave feeling like, hey, this is normal. Hey, this is what's to be expected. And I can do this. And today's panelists, today's women in resale are doing it. And they're going to share with you how they did it, how they're doing it, what they've learned. And again, what you guys can be inspired by from their stories. Now, Vintage Across America, my goodness, we kicked off last night with Jen Becker Ringer, a flyover town vintage. It was awesome. It was so great. Tonight we have Natalie Pennington Rains of Collections by Natalie. She's going to jump on live at 6 p.m. EST. She wraps at 7:40 EST. And then we have Maggie Botorf of the Resale Rebel. She's going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern, and she will wrap at 10:40 Eastern. Unfortunately, Maggie cannot be on today's panel, but she sends her love. Tomorrow, we have the one and only Bonbon, Bonnie Magini of Bonbons Vintage at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then at 9 p.m., we have Odelia Avalos Barton of Styled by Odelia. And last and definitely not least, on Monday at 6 p.m., we have Lee Emily Owen of Nancy Sucks Vintage at 6 p.m. And we have Alicia Marie Glass of Laguna Beach Vintage at 9 p.m. So guys, we have 7 phenomenal live sellers this weekend who have said yes to creating a one-of-a-kind experience for you, offering premium vintage and accessories at affordable prices, at accessible prices, from the passion in their hearts, because all of our sellers are so passionate about what they do, and you're going to hear that in their stories today. So I'm going to see if there's any more comments just to talk back to you guys. Yeah, Shirley said that Shirley thinks she's watching the replay. No, Shirley, you are live. So if you are tuning in right live, if you hear me right now on 1022, at my goodness, it's 12:19, you are live. You are tuning in live. So definitely stay on board. Okay, cool. All righty. I think our panelists are ready. And yeah, okay. Panelists, are you ready? I'm going to start adding you in. Yeah, I see some thumbs up. I see some thumbs up. All right. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. The Brady Bunch, guys. Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Good afternoon, wherever you are.
Hey, guys. So to everyone tuning in live, say hello to our panelists. They have made time to be on this panel today on a Saturday, a day when a lot of us try to be carefree or at least run some errands. So I want to, kickstart this panel with some brief introductions. We get to know one another, usually in the DMs, right? We get to understand the who, what, where, when. But this is a great opportunity for you guys, panelists, to really share with us, who are you? How long have you been in resale? And a little bit more about why you do resale and why that's personal to you. So I see Alicia beside me, and I'm going to have her kick us off. Alicia, tell us more about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. It is just a little bit after 9 a.m. here on the West Coast, so I am still waking up a little bit on my 3rd cup of coffee, so hopefully it kicks in soon. Again, my name is Alicia Marie Glass. I'm from Laguna Beach, California, and my brand is Laguna Beach Vintage. I just celebrated the 6-month anniversary of my business this week, and I resale because I am the sole parent to a special needs little girl, and I am also in the last year of school. I am going to school for technical writing, and reselling helps not only with the cost associated with the two, but also gives me a much needed creative outlet and a stress reliever as well.
Wow, Alicia, I never knew that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm going to exit solo layout here. I'm going to give everyone their prime time as they're sharing. Okay, next up is Lee Emily Owen. Tell us more about yourself and why you do resale.
Hi, guys. I started selling vintage clothing 12 years ago in Florida. And then I moved to New York City. I've been there for 8 years. And now I'm back in Vermont, maybe more full-time than I planned. And I've been selling vintage since 2020, kind of full-time again. So I've been a part of vintage clothing my whole life. And I think it was definitely a handed down love. And my location in Florida is what really started it for me. I was just surrounded by vintage all the time. So I decided to go ahead and do something. So I'm here now.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Emily. And you out of solo layouts. Okay, cool. All right, next up on my screen, we have Odelia of Style by Odelia. Tell us more about your resale journey and why you do resale.
Hi, I'm Odelia with Style by Odelia. A lot of you know I've been teasing it out. This is my 20th year in business this weekend. It just happened to coincide with Vintage Across America. So this is my 20th year in business. I started in 2002. It's hard to remember why I started, but I think I remember in my 20s, I worked, I traveled a lot with my job. I did live in New York for a while on the West Coast. I worked in personnel and I was really good at it and I hated it. I hated it. It seemed to me that the people that I knew who were the happiest were the people who were doing what they loved for a living and making a living at it, preferably a good living, but they just seemed to be the happiest. And I came to some circumstances where I was able to decide what I wanted to do. Vintage had been a part of my life, my whole life. And I was collecting and wearing it in college. So I had the opportunity to start, and I started part-time. And some years it has been part-time. I worked as I was an award-winning stylist for Nordstrom. I kind of hired myself out to buy-sell trade stores as they were opening here I'm in San Antonio, here in San Antonio, beautiful San Antonio, Texas. But it's always been there for me. And it's just saved we had to take in my mother when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and very suddenly. And I mean, I don't know what I would have done had I worked an office job. I wouldn't have been able to spend this kind of time with her. I wouldn't have been able to work. And the ability to spend this much time with her and work from home has been amazing. It's just in 20 years, it has gone through so many different phases. But in the end, I keep doing it because it's still, not to get all Marie Kondo on you, but because it still brings me joy. I still find a way to get joy out of it. And as long as that is the case, I'll still have my hand in it. But I love it.
Love it. Thank you, Odelia. Thank you for sharing your story with us. All right. And Bonnie is next up on my screen. Bonnie, tell us more about yourself and why you do resale.
I started resale. I wore vintage a lot in my 20s. But I started resale because during the pandemic, I'm a loan document signer, a notary loan document signer. And that kind of dropped in business. So I thought, I started as a hobby. I didn't plan on any of this. I was kind of just doing it as a hobby. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, I got a whole darn house full of clothes. I have a room upstairs and I've got it. Yeah. And then the interest rates ran up. Nobody knew the interest rates were going to get sky high to almost 7%. And that was a big portion of my notary business. So now I'm finding myself doing it full time for now until my notary business comes back more. And then I'll, go back. I like it. I do like it. I'm not used to it though. This is my first sales job ever. So I'm not used to the dynamics of sales. But I do like it. I love clothes. I like it.
Awesome.
So that's why I'm doing it. I need the extra money right now.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. All right. And we've got Natalie of Collections by Natalie. Tell us more about yourself and why you do resale, Natalie.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Natalie with Collections by Natalie. I live in the Metro Atlanta area. A mom, a wife. I work full-time as an IT project manager, and Collections by Natalie is my side business. I started this in, am I frozen?
No.
Okay, on my screen, I'm frozen. Okay. So I started this in 2020 as a need to make money when the pandemic hit. And this basically helped my family out. And I just grew a love for it. I've met some phenomenal women. I think that's more the reason why I continue to do the resale. It's not necessarily a necessity for me, but it's more so the engagement in the community that I continue to build with these amazing women. And I have my own group. I have my own page, which is growing. And for me, it's not necessarily how much money can I make out of this, how but for me, it's making women feel comfortable at an affordable rate. I mean, at an affordable cost. And with the pandemic going, and I still call the pandemic going because the prices of everything is just going high, skyrocketing high. So for me, having affordable prices for women to make them feel fabulous is more the reason why I continue to do it. When I get people that come and say, Natalie, I just love this item, or a family member loves this item, I get more joy out of that than I do monetary. So it's the main reason why I continue to resell, because I love the community and love making others feel good about themselves. So that's me.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for sharing. All right. And Jen Becker Ringer. All right, put you at solo layout. Okay, Jen, tell us more about yourself and why you do resale. And I love your peacock chair.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, everybody. So as Sammy said, I'm Jen, and I'm with Flyover Town Vintage. I am located currently in the Midwest, and that's in large part still why I'm doing vintage and why I'm reselling. I actually started reselling all the way back in 2009, and it was at that time, and much like what I'm hearing from the rest of the panelists, it was something I was pushed into by a need. In the first recession, my husband and I both lost our jobs, and we were looking for a way to continue paying the bills. We'd both been in mortgage, and that completely dried up. We were down in Dallas at the time, and there was just nothing around. But at the same time, if you know Dallas, shopping is like the national pastime, or the city pastime there. And so I was constantly surrounded by these incredible pieces, and you could see just incredible fashion available there. And so I started buying and then reselling during that time while I was going to law school, and really did it as a way to put myself in, support my husband and myself as I was going to law school, and that we could kind of get our grounding back after the Great Recession hit. I did put my resale side on pause for a few years there. And then I would say about 4 years ago or 5 years ago now, roughly, decided to pick it back up. And again, it was a way to really add to my income, and also at the same time really tap into a creative outlet. We were going through IVF, trying to have a family. We have our amazing daughter who will likely bust on in here at some point in time. If you shop with me at all, you've seen her because she has incredible timing for interruptions and just being crazy. It's awesome. But IVF is this incredibly overwhelmingly expensive endeavor. And so I was looking for a way to have added expenses or added cash flow to put towards that. And even after we were no longer thankfully in that pursuit, I decided to keep going with it. And it was very much in an echo of what I heard from Alicia, of a creative outlet. I'm a corporate attorney by day in the finance world, which is not the most creatively stimulating role to have. And so this gives me a way to do something fun, something light, and to be a bit playful. Whereas my day job doesn't really give that much opportunity. And it also then really gives me a great way to fund my own shopping desires. I love amazing pieces. I love amazing clothes. And I would spend an absolute fortune on them if I allowed myself to. And so this is a great way to, make some great connections and continue to build my own closet, my own collection, while also feeding that creative side. And so it's just a lot of fun.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Jen. All right.
Jen.
Yes, guys, this has been awesome. So we have heard from all of our panelists. I've learned a few new things. 100%. So if you guys are tuning in live, let us know in the comments if you learned something new about our panelists today. But we're going to jump into our next question, and I'm just going to let our panelists jump in and speak to this question if they feel called. And the intention of this question, guys, is, oftentimes I already said this, but for those of you tuning in, we see the highlight reel. We see the good stuff. We don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. That's like grit and persistence and resilience. So to our panelists today, whoever wants to jump in first, when you started your resale venture, share something that was difficult for you that you had to grow and learn through in order to be the reseller you are today. Bonnie, go for it.
Shipping. Gosh, shipping was really tough for me. And I had to figure it out. I didn't know about pirate ship and just, the shipping. It's a lot of work and realizing how much work it really is. But yeah, I'm used to the work now and I'm used to all that. So that's it. That's it for me.
Shipping.
I know I had problems with shipping. It's like, oh my God, help. And then, I don't think I took the class at the beginning, your fabulous class at the beginning. So anyway, that was it.
That's
a big one for me.
Huh?
Oh, sorry, Sammy. Was thinking about who my customer was going to be on an item. And that really, for me, also really like tied into the sizing aspect and looking at a piece, and just because it was amazing and I loved it, if I bought everything I loved, I would never actually like resell it all, and I would just end up hoarding and having a huge amount of it. And so I've had to really think about now, what size is this? Is it a 22-inch waist? It might be a beautiful piece, but is it really practical for my clients and the women and men that I work with? And if it isn't, is it something that is so special that somebody would be interested in it, or would I be interested in adding it to my collection as truly just a collection design piece, rather than thinking that I would want or be able to resell it?
That is such a great point.
Yeah, I think for me, because I started this with no history of what live selling was. We were the beginning of live sales. I think just trying to figure it out. I never once thought I would be on lives. I was always intimidated by my voice and was like, who's interested in listening to me? So I had to kind of come over that hurdle. A lot of people are like, no, not you. Like, yes, me. Like, I still freak out every time I go live, and I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. But I think just understanding this whole live type of business, and the most efficient way to show the pieces, the more show nice pieces quickly, right? Not trying to be too talkative, not trying, just getting your rhythm. I think that was the biggest piece for me, along with, I was a collector of vintage, but I never cared about, I was just like the look, right? So I had to learn about vintage. And I took when Sammy was doing those classes back in 2020, I think I was taking every class, because honestly, I didn't really know how to look at labels, or where to go and look for labels, and understand the value of an item. So pricing the items was also just very, very difficult for me at first, because I think I gave away a lot of really nice pieces. And I remember one time I held up a skirt, and I think I was going to sell it for $15. And a person in the comments says, you do not want to sell that for $15. Take that off your live right now, because that piece right there is worth over $100 and something.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, oh, she was like, look at your labels. And then she taught me how to look at my labels. So again, it's the community. But yeah, I was about to sell this 100. I thought it was the ugliest thing ever, but I didn't realize it was worth $150, right?
I love that. I love that so much. Alicia,
Hey, okay, so I just, I think I'm the baby of the group as far as reselling goes. I just celebrated my 6-month anniversary. So I think I can relate to a lot of people who are just getting started on their journeys. For me, in the earliest stages, the most difficult part was finding where I belonged. I had opened up an Etsy store, a thrilling store. I was trying to sell on Instagram, a couple other Facebook pages. But it wasn't until I found Vintage Boss Babes in early June that I felt like I really found my home, my community, and I found my sales here as well. And this is where I made my first 2 sales in resale. And even though, I completely blundered my first 2 sales, I think she's on here. Bryn Cardo was my very first buyer. And the first piece I sold her, I didn't even know that people could have allergies to fabrics. And I accidentally didn't put that it was polyester, knowing it was polyester. And Brent has a polyester allergy. I hope that's okay to say. And I felt absolutely horrible when I found out. And so that's something that I will never do again. I'll always put down a fabric, especially if I know it 100%. And then another thing that I had learned with Brenna as well on my second buy with her was, I had checked thoroughly the outside of the garment and looked for holes and pop seams and stains and all that whatnot. But I never thought to look inside of the hem, and there happened to be a hole on the inside of the hem. And so the outfit didn't end up working, and it wasn't in perfect condition like I tried to sell it like it was. So now I'm also much more thorough as far as looking at my garments and making sure that I'm selling them, at the condition they're really in. But Bryn was so amazing with me, and she showed me such grace, and she guided me through how to do a PayPal invoice, and she guided me through how to use pirate ship. And I think that really embodies what Vintage Boss Babes is, that real community of women trying to help other women succeed.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sammy, so much for, building this amazing community of women. I feel like I found my home here, and I'm just so excited. And thank you, Bren. Thank you. If she hadn't shown me the grace that she did, I wouldn't be reselling anymore. That would have been my last 2 sales for sure.
I completely understand, because you just feel like, oh no, I screwed up. I'm going to keep screwing up. But
It's brutal.
that's part of the journey. That's absolutely part of the journey. I mean, I dropped off a package the other day, actually to Bryn. And it's New York City. The post office is crazy. But I intentionally dropped them off to get them scanned. And I realized that I didn't have proof that her package was scanned.
Do you have the app?
It delivered, but I went and checked the tracking, and I'm like, oh my God, this $550 code is lost.
Oh no.
I was like, it's lost. It ended up arriving. But that to me was, again, just another little micro thing that as you get stronger, as you have more experience, you realize, oh no, I need to go back and just make sure that I have proof, because that one time is going to be that one time. So we all make mistakes. It just, Anyway, anyone else want to jump in?
Just to piggyback off of, I think what everybody is really saying is that resell is different than selling vintage and reselling clothing. It's like, I kind of feel like when you tell someone you're a reseller, there's this huge canopy of resellers. People sell everything. And vintage is a lot more difficult to sell. There's like you said, there's all of these micro things within reselling for us that we have to do and learn about. And that takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. So not being bogged down by all of the stuff that you don't know, and trying just to focus on what you know, what interests you the most, and what's kind of the easiest and most available to you, to use, and what feels the most natural. I mean, I could sell on 10 different streams, but mentally for me, that's impossible to keep track of everything. And I've felt that I've had to really hone in and just cut away all of the extra stuff and just focus on who am I selling to? What is my community? Vintage Boss Babes has been my community since 2020 now. It's my favorite place to sell. It's my most lucrative place to sell. And live sales have really just saved me in terms of how much I enjoy what I do. Because I love talking about clothing. I love communicating with people. I love selling a piece that is one of a kind to someone and they're going to maybe have it forever, rather than me just selling something on Etsy and I don't really see where it goes. Like, while we all need streams for income, finding a home for yourself in a community like this is really, really important. At least it is for me. So
I love that advice. Absolutely love that advice. Odelia, do you have anything to add? I think you're
Sure.
our last.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I was thinking about it's 20 years. I was 20 years younger. What was the hardest thing? And it very easily, the hardest thing was not buying one thing for the business and two for me. That was my hardest. That was the most difficult problem I had. But I got over that fairly quickly. After that, the thing that has kept me in so long, and I was listening to everybody's answers, and what it all amounts to is just finding a way to carve this business out for yourself, because I think everybody is so different. Everybody comes at this very differently. I have to curate every single piece I buy. That means I have to love every single thing I buy. That doesn't mean I love it for me. It doesn't mean that I think that I would look good in it or I could even wear it or get away with it. But it means I have to love it for someone else, or I have to love it for my collection. Yeah. And so I don't buy things because they're vintage and they're a great price if I don't love it. I don't buy things that are velup, even though I'm lacking in velup sizes, just because it's velup, unless I love it. I think it's great. I have to, and that's I do a live. There's a lot of education in it. I talk a lot about my pieces and talk about obscure designers specifically. I've got like my dad and my husband who watch my lives are always like, you could sell more if you stop talking so much. But that's just not something I'm willing to do. I like the way I do it. I think everyone is different. And I think that's what's great about bringing, about this community is every live, every seller is a little bit different and does it a little bit differently. And I think that's part of the fun, because I really wouldn't want if we all looked exactly alike and our collections all looked exactly alike. And I learned a pretty, early on, I swear I want to write a whole blog post or a whole article called "Yes, Girlfriend, You Can Waste Money in a Thrift Store," because it took me a long time to realize I have to love it. I did that. I bought things because they were a great price and they were vintage and not necessarily loving them. I did that for a long time. And guess what? I didn't enjoy posting them. I didn't enjoy shooting them. And I probably wasn't as enthusiastic about them. So they just sat in the closet and ended up in a landfill. And that's not what I'm going for. So this is just stuff that took time. I mean, a long time. Totally dating myself, I just realized. But yeah, these are probably the best lessons for me.
I'm still learning that lesson.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, how do I learn that not buy two for me as I find one for someone else? So Odelia, I need lessons.
Whole house full, and I'm just barely now starting to learn not to, what Odelia is talking about. I mean, I have people come and pick and everything, but I'm just barely starting to learn, just get the things that I love and all that. Took me a while, a lot of money fit.
Yeah.
And I think figuring out your style, right? So, for me, when I first started, I really didn't know what my style was. Like, what do people come to Natalie to shop for? And, it took me a while to kind of figure out, okay, what sells best for me, what represents my personality. And I've always been a sequence lover. I've always been that person that loved loud colors. So when I looked at it, I was like, oh, well, 80s is really me. You know, I'm really an 80s girl. I'm really about the bling. I'm really about anything that sparkles, that stands out from everyone else. So I think the key is figuring out what people are coming to you for and what you love, right? So when I go and I procure my inventory, I know what I want. I can shop very, very fast. I can go into a store and be like, nah, there's nothing there, because my
Okay.
eye is trained to look for what I love, right? And not
You want to
necessarily
bring it to me?
just anything.
Awesome, Natalie. Love that. All right, I'm just being producer behind the scenes. Guys, I learned so much from that. If you guys are tuning in live and something like hit home for you, let us know in the comments. I will highlight your comment. I'm loving the comments so far. So we are going to go from, what was difficult to just moments of joy, moments of just positivity in resale. And a few of our panelists today already hit upon some of that with their introductions. But I'd love to hear from you guys, a story or just something that you want to share to inspire the audience that relates back to your personal resale journey. So whoever wants to jump in, jump in.
Something I wanted to mention, okay, sorry. I actually suffer from really bad social anxiety. So this is being on the panel is a little hard for me. On my live sales, it's different because I can just see the comments. I don't see anyone's faces. I feel, even though I don't feel judgment right now, but there's like zero judgment on lives for me. But I was able to combat my social anxiety and get on to my first live because of the wonderful support that I found within the Vintage Boss Babes community. Everyone was just so confident. They were so encouraging and gave me the confidence that I needed to be able to go live. And I don't have a fear of that anymore, but the panels scare the heck out of me. But yeah, I just found such encouragement here and overcame something that I didn't think I could. So thank you to everyone for that.
Oh my goodness. That is incredible to share.
That's great. That was great. That's great.
I mean, there's so much more to a live selling platform than just like, hey, I'm selling something and making money. And Alicia, thank you for sharing that, because of course I know there's someone out there that's like, I feel that right now. And that's what's held me back. So awesome. Anyone else want to jump in?
I mean, I'm not going to be able to follow that anywhere closely because that touched my heart personally. I love hearing that. Alicia, thank you for sharing. What I was going to say initially was, for me, it was the moment where one of my customers said, I posted that a promo piece of, hey, I'm coming, I'm going to be live this time. And there was a comment in there of, oh, great, this is my favorite seller. And that to me was such an important thing because there's so many options out there. And when you find your people, and it really flows from some of the things that all the other sellers were saying here of finding your lane, understanding who you are and what you do right, then you start to see people come in and say, oh, I have to make this one because I always love everything that you show. And you start to see that positive return of energy. And to me, that's just such a big moment. It was so powerful. And it was really a major moment of success. And in particular, because I made so many mistakes early on, and then being able to turn, some of those mistakes into loyal, returning shoppers is so powerful and so exciting for me that that's probably been my most positive experience was, finally seeing, like I said, those return people that, are coming back again. And that's just so powerful because there are so many options out there. So like I said, I'm doing awful. Like I said, I did not want to follow Alicia because her answer was so incredible that there was no way to follow that. So I shouldn't have even tried.
No, that's such a great point, Jen. I mean, the point I hear you make is, there's a customer for everyone. There is a customer for everyone. Okay. Who else wants to jump in? Anyone else?
I just want to reiterate, I think for me, it's building the community, right? So when I get those inboxes from people that they just love their pieces, and that their pieces bring so much joy to them, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And like I said before, it's for me, it's making others feel beautiful about themselves, and first and foremost. And so when you get those, you get people sharing their pictures online that they bought something from you, and it's like, wow, they look so good on them. Like they bought that from Alive, and I think it was Lee who stated, you don't get that gratification of being able to see your pieces come to life when you sell on Posh or you sell anywhere else. Like those people are just people that you're just sending things to. But when you're seeing your vision and how it looks great on the person that bought it, that's what brings me joy. Is seeing others really truly enjoy the pieces that they get from me.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Love, love, love. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I feel working with vintage, especially, kind of like I have a responsibility in a way, to take care of these things and cherish these things and try to do my best to bring them back to the world and give them a new life. Lots of times, I mean, we all buy vintage all kinds of places. But when I have the opportunity to go into someone's home and speak with the person who knows about these things, I feel like there's tremendous value in that, because it becomes someone's stories and memories, and you realize that these things have been around for sometimes a century, half a century. I mean, you wrap your brain around that. It's like I'm wearing a jacket that's 60, 70 years old. It really, if you let it sink in, it can change your whole outlook on just everything, and the energy that these things have. And when I repair something or I find something hidden in the back of a closet that's like going to end up in the trash, and then I end up washing it and mending it, or just, shaking it out, or, bringing it back to life for someone, that's what turns me on the most. I think that's the reason why I keep doing it, because we all love the hunt. And the hunt's really fun, and I think it's an important part of the business. But saving things is just, I think that's extraordinary for me personally.
Great point. Great point, Emily. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, guys. So I'm going to move on to our next question, unless there's anything else that you guys want to add.
I do want to add one thing. For me, it fills a void because I have 3 boys and a husband here at home, and with the guys all the time. And I love my little young customers, my little young girls. They love me, I love them, and they, it's just, for me, it fills the void of never having a daughter. And I mean, I was always into fashion and clothes, and I know how to French braid hair and do all these styles. And I've never had a chance to express that with my boys.
Oh wow!
Even though I love boys, I love my boys. Don't get me wrong, but it fills that void for me big time. They're watching the Padre game in there. Well, I have all my clothes right here, so there. That's the biggest void it fills for me. I'm enjoying that.
Oh my gosh, I love that point so much.
So great.
Thank you, Bonnie. That's such a great point. Just being able to tap into our feminine energy, and those of us that do work corporate, whether on the panel or off the panel.
With the guys all the time.
With the boys.
And I don't really have a lot of girl time with anybody. Or, I have a few friends, but yeah, I'm like this guy girl. It's just, I love it.
Tammy's laughing in the comments. Tammy gets it.
Good, Tammy. I hope you get it too. Jeez.
Great comment.
Anyway.
From Shahama. Love it. Love it. Love your comments, guys. Keep them coming. And if you have questions, I'll make sure to highlight them at the end. So our fourth question, we've got this question and one more before we just open up the floor. I'm kind of going like low, high, low again, but this is a tell-all panel. Okay, guys. So we are speaking our raw and real truth. I would love for our panelists to talk about an experience selling that wasn't a profitable venture. Now, sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about whatever it's about. And I would love for you guys to also share those insights. But again, I think that until we know what we know, things can feel very glamorous until we're actually in the trenches. So what can you share with our listeners today that might just give them some foresight? Whoever wants to jump in first. Jen.
I will jump in on this one because I did it last weekend. So, I mean, like you were saying, we all still make mistakes. So if you're newer and you're making mistakes, don't get too hard on yourself. So last weekend I was out and I was sourcing and I found this incredible leather dress from an amazing designer, and the store was closing. And so of course I'm racing to the counter before they like lock me in there for the night. And I didn't look at the dress closely enough. And it was a more expensive piece. You know, I think it was $50 or $60. I got it home. I looked at it, and there was a little set of 2 holes in the side of this dress. And so honestly, I'm likely going to try to fix it, but, you know, I'll be lucky if, you know, I don't just end up, you know, completely losing my investment on that piece. Because like we were saying, when you have a damaged piece, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. And you obviously have to be transparent. You can't sell it as perfect and somebody gets it and, oh, you know, they're really disappointed. So, you know, that's one that even still just last weekend I did. So it happens, and it's that tough lesson of you've got to make sure you manage your time well enough when you are outsourcing so that, you know, you are saving yourself enough time to inspect those pieces, you know, 100% everywhere you need to look at, that you are taking that time to look at all of those seams, look at all of those hemlines, look at the fabrics, look for holes, look for damage, look for stains, because if you don't, it will come back and it will bite you.
Yeah, I'm like you, Ben. I do that still, and I'm trying to be more careful because, yeah, I mean, a lot of money goes. You spend a lot of money on that, and you're probably only going to be able to sell it for half. And yeah, that's a really good point for people that are just starting to learn and stuff. Because I'm real quick. I'm this ADD person that just goes in, grabs. You know, I have something to do next. Always have something to do next. And I get home and it's like, oh, Bonnie. So I went to an estate sale yesterday. I was so proud of myself. I did not buy one thing.
Oh, wow.
I hope you guys are proud of me. Because, yeah, I mean,
that's impressive.
I'm getting better. So that's my point too, Jen. I'm right there with you.
Oh my goodness. I love this raw and real honesty. You guys are bringing it. What else you got? Anyone else?
For me, the worst is when you have a piece that is in impeccable condition and then you wash it. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many pieces I have ruined because I didn't know how to handle the fabric. I think I've gotten a lot better now, but if you ever see me do a wounded bird sale, it's probably because I screwed up on my wash again.
And Alicia, that is so true. I remember when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing with taking care of. I've ruined so many things. I have ruined my dryer because I know when we first went live, I think I was washing so much, I burnt out the coil, and then the dust of the, you know, because some things, not everything can go in the washing machine, right? So I was buying the dryer, like trying to freshen up some of the clothes, and the dust burnt up my dryer. So my husband was not very happy with me. Good things he's very handy and was able to repair it. But yeah, it's that piece right there. And that's pieces that people don't realize the work that goes behind the scenes to get these things prepared. And no one knew I burnt out my dryer. Literally, it caught on fire because of all of the dust from this. Yeah, my husband was.
That's
And if
not
you know my husband, he doesn't talk much, but that day he was pissed. He was pissed, but I almost caught the house on fire. So you just got to be very mindful of that also.
I never even knew that was a possibility. I mean, yeah, note to self, let's all go to laundromats when we're drying our
Yeah.
Anyone else want to jump in?
I'll say, when I was first starting out, I made a really stupid choice. And I bought a lot of vintage sequin pieces, sight unseen. So I purchased them and agreed to purchase them before I was able to go through everything, because from the pictures I saw, I was like, yeah, no problem, right? That backfired horribly because they weren't really properly explained. I didn't ask for the tags on everything. There was a lot of items that weren't in the pictures that were just completely like valueless, kind of mixed in there. So I was just emotional. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the mother lode. I just have to do it. And I did it. And it was a huge financial burden because I couldn't get rid of like half the stuff. So just don't ever buy anything sight unseen, unless you've got someone who's taken like really, really, really good pictures of something, or you're able to look at like the whole, there's a fine line, but yeah, don't be that stupid.
That's a great lesson.
I've done that. I know what about.
Sorry, Bonnie, say that again.
That I've done that. I've done that before too.
Yeah.
I just trust everybody. I'm so, just get it done, get it over with. And if it's a super good price, I would do that and just take it all home, and then I'll end up giving it away or giving it to the Goodwill or something. But when you're paying a decent price, yeah, I would definitely make sure I go through everything next time. I've done that a couple of times.
Well, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating 20 years, and I just ruined a fur last week. Yeah. My husband loves to use that line. Wow, that lasted 70 years and then spent 5 minutes with you and it's dead.
Oh, geez.
And it's true, because I mean, that's life. I'm poisoned to it happens. What I was thinking more about is like some of the like collabs and marketing things that I've done that didn't necessarily, like I've done a few collabs and made some marketing decisions that didn't pan out financially or didn't really add up to a great bottom line, but they all taught me something. A lot of people know that I spent 3.5 years distributing Diane Freese's this is just one example, I have more her personal vintage, and it was great because that was like the Rosetta Stone for me. I'd always been a fan. I will always be a fan of hers. I mean, it was just such a great experience, and it brought me to the social media groups, and it made me open up a new website. I learned so much. I didn't necessarily make a ton of money after all was said and done. I mean, I made some, but it wasn't like this huge windfall. But oh my God, I learned so much. So I would never call it a mistake in any stretch of the imagination. And I think sometimes when we I think for me, when I get out of my box, when I get out of my comfort zone, when I step out of my box a little bit and try something new, a collab or a new marketing strategy or a new page or whatever, and I make mistakes and it turns out to not be so great, I always learn something, and I always try to figure out what did I learn from it. And in the middle of in the middle of all this, I was asked to help Carlisle, the fashion house, start their regional here in Texas online system, and it was great. I learned so much. I didn't make 5 cents when you at the end. It was terrible, but God, I learned so much. I just think sometimes, with the exception of the stains and the holes, when we make mistakes in other areas of our business, I don't know. That's where I've learned so much. When I do things right, I don't really learn a lot.
Amen. Well, I'm definitely hearing that we need a class on cleaning.
Hey.
And
Cleaning's tough even for experts. So it's like, it's
Yeah.
really hard to get experts to like also give you their tips.
right.
You know, it's like, it's like trying to
Information.
yeah, it's tough. It's hard, but we do need a class on that, at least basics or something.
Yeah, and sometimes the little seams and the rips and stuff are hidden when you're looked it over really well. Or that's me, and then I'll just miss it somehow. It's like, wait a minute, oh man, So yeah,
I always turn everything inside out if you can.
that's a good
and go
idea.
And start from the outside in. But
Take a minute, man. That's your money.
yeah, take a minute. Sure, take a minute. Be in the sunlight.
I
Don't do it in the
just go
corner.
and pull and stop it, Bonnie.
Love
Anyway.
this. Love this. You guys, this has been so great. And my goodness, we're making amazing time. It's 1:10. So if we have 17 live viewers still, I'm so appreciative that you guys are finding the value in this. So our final-ish question, because we will open the floor for additional questions. Some of us have been in resale 20 years. Some of us 6 months, some of us 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But for all of us here, how has business changed since you first began? Or if you feel like sharing maybe some future forecasting, how do you see business changing? We are in a very niche world, which I have coined social selling, using the power of social media platforms, specifically Facebook, to create a buy and sell transaction with other people by forming relationships. But what's next? What is coming for the future of resale? So I would love for you guys to chime in with your expert insights and also how you've seen the industry change. I'll have Odelia and then Bonnie.
Okay.
Hi. Well, oh my God, it's completely different from when I started. When I started, there was virtually no competition on eBay, which is where I started. With the pieces I would have now would be great. On the other hand, there was virtually no audience either. It was so different. There was there was no competition, but there was so much less of an audience and a demand for vintage. It was still like when I started, it was still a very clicky, like culty world, whereas it wasn't. Then came Sex and the City and all this other stuff where like vintage was very cool, and then where we go. And I have watched my business change so much with the uptick. Well, first with the advent of social media, of course, but specifically since the pandemic, just this unbelievable uptick of online social media sales and the live sales and the posting on social media. I mean, it's changed dramatically, and it's going to what we're doing today will absolutely not be what we're doing in 5 years. I mean, we'll be doing a little bit of it, but it's going to change. The Facebook to Instagram, the algorithms change constantly. It's just really, it's cool to watch. It's a little, even after 20 years, it's a little bit, you get a little freaked out. You're going to miss something if you back off, if you back away too long, because it's moving so fast.
Right.
For me personally, well, I'm in less than a handful of years, I will officially retire from full-time vintage selling and reselling, which is just 20 years is a long time to devote to any one thing, and I want to see what I'm going to be when I grow up. But what's really cool is there's so much, like for me, just the ability to give back. I get so many requests in my DMs about like just, hey, what do you think about this pricing? What do you think about this age? What should I buy? And I never ever balk away from it, because I think it's important to be of service, especially after 20 years. And there's a lot of like stuff in there that I learned the hard way. And I love sharing that. And I'm super excited that Sammy and I are actually collaborating soon on how I can do that, how I can give away little tiny bits of information in little bite-sized pieces en masse, and just a little bit in very affordable ways to a greater audience, as opposed to going in my, as opposed to answering everybody one by one. I'm super excited about that, but it allows me to transition, out of the resale full time. But I'm always going to have my hand in it a little bit because I love it. But I think education and the education of resale and the change in the social media where it's going. I mean, Instagram's going to play a much bigger role, I think, in the next few years, and that kind of thing is exciting to watch. I don't want to be doing it this hard in a few years. I want to do something else, but it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, far knowledgeable, Odelia. I mean, I go to you. That's a great idea for you to, you and Sammy together and do that, because you're very knowledgeable and you've helped me out so many times. Thank you.
Thank you. It
does take 20 years or more to know all the brands, and then to, you can't pull up everything, and you just can't real quick before you're live. And it's hard to know what to price these things at, and the brands. I'm still learning brands. I'm still learning,
Oh, we lost Bonnie.
We lost Bon.
We lost
Bonnie, no.
In the middle of this passionate.
Bonnie, no.
All right, we will wait for her to jump back on, because I'm sure she will. Anyone else want to just chime in to how has your business changed?
I'll chime in.
Okay.
I won't really talk about my business per se, because I've been in vintage a lot of different ways over the course of the years, doing all kinds of things. But when I first started in 2010, I was living in Sarasota, Florida, and I was going to Goodwills because I just thrift like crazy as something I enjoy to do. So I was going to Goodwills everywhere, and Goodwills down there are like McDonald's. They're on every corner. They're everywhere. They're huge. They gross millions and millions and millions of dollars. But at the time, vintage was just everywhere. Like, they weren't picking it out. They weren't selling it separately like they do now on eBay. It was just like a treasure trove. Now it's completely different. You go into a Goodwill and they have not as much vintage. If they do have it, it's way overpriced. So people knowing about vintage and trying to jump on that bandwagon has really impacted my sourcing. There she is. Really impacted my sourcing ability, like where I source, how I source. That's, for me, has changed dramatically, because if you can't find good stuff, you don't have anything to sell. So just honing in on my sourcing skills and changing with the flow, and knowing that I have to go to different places now and I have to do different things, and I might have to be more aggressive in terms of trying to get to it first, before things get donated. But the beauty of vintage being so popular now is that people are less likely to throw things away. They're less likely to just be like, whatever, they see a closet full of vintage clothing. Now they're going to maybe donate it, or now they're going to sell it. So it puts it back on the market. And in that way, I think it's great, because I feel like we were losing a lot of vintage before this to just trash. People just throwing it away. So the business has changed dramatically in all aspects, but I would say for me, just finding things and sourcing awesome things has become more difficult, more of a challenge. I enjoy it. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to get easier in the future.
That is such a great point. I would love to hear from the comments. How are you sourcing the majority of your items right now? And Bonnie, You were like in the middle of such a passionate
I-
share. I don't know if you can pick up.
I forgot, and actually I forgot what I was talking about.
We love you, Bonnie.
We were talking about pricing and identifying labels.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't go back to that one. I'll have to
Okay.
get back to the new question.
Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. How has your business changed since?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you know what's really gotten me? I've only been doing it 3 years since the pandemic, and it has changed dramatically. Vintage has gone up in value for one, which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, people are starting to catch on, and they're pricing the vintage higher when you buy it.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Because
always been an
tax
issue,
bills,
though.
so
Like,
yeah. But it's gone up in value. I started with modern actually, and I thought, oh wow, I got to get out of this. You know, not too much modern, because with the vintage, I don't know. I started with modern, and now I do a little modern and vintage, but mainly vintage. But yeah, it's going to change dramatically in the future, and I think it's always going to be a lot of work to make your money. But it's, you know, I like it. I enjoy it.
Awesome, Bonnie. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I do. You guys want? Okay, let me give you some tips on where I source. I don't really waste my time in Goodwills or anything too much anymore. I know a handful of people where I just go, and you know, and I just pick up here in California. Sometimes I might have something shipped, but that, you know, I've been doing that pretty much since the beginning, because it takes a long time to source, and I just don't have that kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been ordering things from people since the beginning, and I just, I have places now here in California where I just, you know, kind of go to, and it makes it easier for me.
Great advice. Great advice. All right. Our other panelists, how has your business changed since you first began resale? Any other insights?
So mine changed dramatically, because when I first started, it was, like I said, 2009. We're in the middle of the first, you know, major recession here of this decade, or this century, and I was in Dallas. So it ties into kind of what Emily was saying, in terms of, you also have to work within your geography and what is available to you, really what the focus and you're going to find there. So when I was in Dallas, it was a little more difficult to find vintage. And so one of the things that I was doing then is I was selling more modern pieces, and I was going, because there was so much overstock from the lesser consumer consumption at the higher end stores, I was going into places like TJ Maxx and Marshall's and the discount stores that would have high-end designer items. And so I would go in and I would look for brand new modern designer high-end items that were maybe 1 year old and just were being clearanced out through these liquidation stores. And I would buy those and I would sell those on eBay, like Odelia said. And I sold a lot more on eBay, and I sold a lot more internationally at that point, because these were very high-end pieces that were collectible all over the globe. That's not something I could have done if I were living in the Midwest at that point in time. So it was an entirely different model. You know, it looks nothing like what my model is today, which is, you know, thoroughly tied into my geography of being here in the Midwest. And so I think that's one of the things that I've learned is you have to look at what's really going to work for you, what's reasonable, what's possible, and you have to make it fit into your world and where you are. And, you know, that comes in many forms: geography, kids, family, whatever. I've got a wild child with extra wild hair today coming in. So
Hi,
this is Edie.
there she
Hi,
is.
Edie.
Oh my.
That's my oldest
Hey, girl.
girlfriend, Evie. That's such a cute name. Hi,
Hi.
Evie.
Okay.
That was perfect timing. Oh my goodness.
We're on TV right now. Shh.
We're movie stars.
Oh, that was so great. That was so great. Oh my gosh. Well, I know since I started resale, which officially I started in 2008, but I think my first eBay sale was 2003. I sold my 1920s black lace dress. I'll just mute Evie and Jen momentarily. But yeah, I sold that I sold a 1920s lace black morning dress that I wore to prom. I didn't realize it was a morning dress
Yes.
until later. Yeah. So long story short, I was 17, sold that on eBay, and had no idea what I was doing. I probably took it to the post office and spent like $15, and yeah. But when I first started resale, it was all about flea markets, right? It was like, how do I get in front of a consumer base, because the internet was just popping. These collectives, these awesome weekend events, where someone organizes an opportunity for you to have a booth or something that's just a little bit more organized and themed. It didn't really exist. So and I'm sure in the 90s, early O's, even more so, it was like, how can I just get to like a community market, right, and sell my stuff? But then of course, you're not going to sell something for $400 at a flea market that might deserve $400. So I just remember setting up shop, and if I made like $500, I was happy. But it was very tough. It was very tough, and you would show up rain or shine just to hope that you would make some sales. And and then the internet emerged, and then Etsy emerged, and this and that, and then it became like, oh my goodness, I'm paying all these commissions to these platforms. Etsy alone is 30 cents a listing, and then you have to renew your listings, and that can add up really quickly. So when the growth of buy sell Facebook communities emerged, and I recognized that, really the value was like, hey, like let's eliminate commissions so that we're not paying eBay $40 for every sale, or Etsy, whatever. And that adds up over time, because you think about, paying a platform like eBay, which does take a lot of commission, $30, $40 times 10 sales, that's $300 to $400 per month, which is thousands of dollars per year. So that's the biggest change I've seen. Now, I don't know what's coming, but I do see, as the founder creator of this community, I'm always looking to competition, not quote unquote competition, but I'm seeing what's emerging, and we're seeing apps like Whatnot emerge. If you have not been on Whatnot's a really great platform where, you actually have to have a credit card to participate in the live sale. You're charged automatically. There's bidding, blah, 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 blah. It started out a little bit more around, Pokemon cards and, sports cards and sneakers. But now I'm seeing a little bit more of the female women's resale vintage fashion world emerge. Is it going to be best for wholesalers? Possibly. Is it going to be a little bit of everything? So the question is, what's next for premium vintage? How can we, sorry guys, I live in New York City and someone's blasting music. What's next for premium vintage to reach an audience that, wants to form a relationship with the seller, know, like, trust them. There's a few of us here who have said, look, like, we've made mistakes, but because we form a relationship with the customer, those mistakes can be rectified a lot easier. A lot of people go to the shows in person, and these are shows that, have a great reputation, do a lot for the industry, but the shows are pricey. So goes the price of the goods. So I'm really curious to see, what's next. I think the metaverse is upon us this lifetime, and we might be wearing glasses and shopping on each other's stores or each other's closets. If that happens, I'll be right there with it. I'll make sure that we that.
Well, I'll say Whatnot is not for us.
Speak to Whatnot, because I've never.
It's not. They are. You make no profit. I have sold on Whatnot, and I've tried a couple times, and it's just not. It's not profitable. I mean, those people want things for dirt cheap. They want to start off at $1, and the only people that are really making money are people that have huge following that will bid up, right? So if you start your item off at $1 and you only have 5 people on, you sell that item for $1. And so I've struggled with Whatnot on that aspect of it. So you haven't seen me really go back live on Whatnot, because I think they're worse than a thrift store. They really want things for dirt cheap. So I don't advise if you're trying to sell high-end vintage to even try Whatnot. I'm just gonna put it out there because you're not gonna make money.
Natalie, God, that's a great insight because I don't like to
Yeah.
waste my time trying to learn a new platform unless I know. So that's valuable information, Natalie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I checked it out and went in and did a deep dive, and I was just like, I don't even think this is going to be worth my effort, just because of the price points alone and just the demographic. You know, I just don't think it's at all for my business. But I can see other people doing well. But you know, you have to find the right
Yeah,
place
find your
for
niche.
you, and there's a
And
lot of
to be honest,
places.
the
Thankfully.
piece that I do love is that they pay on the spot, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to chase down people for invoices. Well, I don't really chase anybody down for invoices anymore, but they pay immediately, right? And at the end of the live, you can ship. That is, I think, something that needs to, if people evolve, and I'm glad that you're having this with Loyal Shops, because I think as a reseller, you really have to kind of own some of these tools yourself. And so being able to find ways to not make it crazy, right? For me, you know, like I did a live on Thursday night. Everybody paid when I woke up in the morning. I shipped by noon, right? So being able to have a system like that really helps you not go crazy, right? But I don't see Whatnot as a form for the type of pieces that we have.
Right.
Unless they're just items that you just want to get rid of.
Right.
That's where you go.
Like you're gonna
But
donate.
they're, you know what, they're gearing more towards the younger generation, aren't they?
No, it's a mix, right? So I mean, you have a lot of different types of clothing on there, and a lot of different types of people. But to me, it's harder to find your people on there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a lot harder. So, but that's just my 2 cents on Whatnot. Because I always will try out something, and will let you know if it's profitable or not. And that's not profitable.
That's valuable.
Appreciate it, Nat. Well, I will be manifesting metaverse glasses for us all to shop in one another's closets in the next 5 years.
Please,
this has been, thank you, Bonnie. This has been such a great panel. Oh my goodness. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I don't see any questions in the comments. So if you did want to ask something or even just say something that I can highlight on screen, now is the time. But I'm going to open the floor one more time to our panelists. If there's anything that wasn't said or addressed that you just want to chime in with, now is the time. And thank you all so much for being on this 90-minute panel. It flew by. It's 1:30.
Joanne has a question.
Oh, Joanne does have a question. That's a great question.
You don't, Joanne. Next question. That's a good question. You have to do something. So it just depends on the piece.
You air it out.
Really depends on the piece, you know, like you could steam it.
Yeah.
But if you have an actual, like, you know, sometimes things just have to be washed, you know? Yeah. I don't know. That's one of those mystery questions.
Those are the ones that I will leave hanging.
Yeah, if I know I might have a chance of messing or ruining it, I just leave it. I'll just leave it. And then just look, I'm selling it, you know.
Yeah. How do you clean it? Take it to a dry cleaner, you know. That's always the safest thing to do, unless you have like a spot on it. Like there's certain vintage things I will not take to the dry cleaners because they'll ruin it. And I just know they will, because like sometimes they have like these little machines they use on rollers to get stains out. And like when you're dealing with vintage fabrics, it can just deteriorate that pile like really quickly. And sometimes they just do not know how to treat vintage things. And you take a chance when you bring something to the dry cleaner. So sometimes I trust myself a lot more with cleaning things than I do a professional, but there are vintage dry cleaning professionals. So they're usually they cost a little bit more and they're not available everywhere, but you can find them. So
But I think this is a huge industry to be in and a great industry to be in because it's just uphill from here. I mean, the quality of the vintage clothing is so much nicer than the clothing being made now. And then now with inflation, the clothing being made now is probably going to start being even cheaper. You know, they're cutting our chips down in our bags. I bought a bag of chips the other day, and there's only half the chips. The cereal boxes are down. And it's going to affect the clothing too. So we're in a great field.
Oh my gosh, Bonnie, that's so true.
Oh my God. I'm beyond myself. I'm glad I only have one boy home I'm feeding. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
Jen,
one trick too.
California are just outrageous. Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys. I love you.
No, Bonnie.
We love you too, Bonnie.
Love you, Bob.
Jen, jump in, Jen.
One piece too, and I don't know if this is a piece that you have in your own collection and that you're trying to preserve, and thinking about how you can make sure that you don't ruin it in your own use of it. But one of the things that you can do is also try to be preventative with your special pieces, the silks, the vintage pieces, and look for some things. You know, I didn't realize until, you know, a while into buying and wearing vintage myself, that there are things like the little dress shields and things that they used to use really commonly in the 40s, the 30s. And they were ways to keep from soiling those fragile and really difficult to clean fabrics. So anything you can look at in terms of making the piece wearable if you are using it yourself, so that you can prolong the need to actually have to clean it, that'll go a long way as well. Sometimes, you know, if you're sourcing a piece, you find it, you get home, you kind of have to look at it and go, okay, is this something I can dunk in just some plain water and see if maybe I can do it? It says don't wash it, but you know, you kind of have to just go with your gut, whether it's that high-end dry cleaner, trying to do something yourself at home. And that's where some of those mistakes that we've all made, that's where they come from, of ruining those kinds of pieces, unfortunately, and kind of trial and error.
That's such a great point, Jen.
Prevention is the key.
That's such a great point. I mean, who knows? Like, I don't know how old the oldest person is watching this, but it's like, let's think back to the 40s and 50s. Like, how much did we actually launder pieces?
Right.
Like, we didn't have the systems that we have today. So yeah. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Is there anything else that you guys want to jump in with? Alicia, Natalie, Odelia, Bonnie, Emily. Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to ask Alicia a question. How did you, if you have, you know, anxiety about going online like this, what techniques did you use to maybe help yourself kind of just get through that first hurdle? So I think the first hurdle is the hardest part for people, to just find the confidence to do it and to not be afraid, especially if you have, you know, trouble with that kind of thing, which a lot of people do.
Yeah. So when I went live for the first time, I really just threw myself into that process. I don't think I prepared too much. I did do a dress rehearsal though, so I think that maybe helped. That helped maybe a little bit. I went through some of my items and recorded myself, and I guess that helped. But not seeing faces really helped. What helped me today was I have all my notes.
Oh my gosh.
Down.
You're overly prepared.
A couple weeks ago, I actually went to Sammy and I was like, okay, can you get me the questions that you're going to ask us for the panel beforehand, please? Because I wanted to sit down and type up, you know, anything that I wanted to say and whatnot, and, you know, just have that in front of me, and having, I guess, that kind of crutch there helped me get through today.
I think that will help everybody. Really.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right.
You know.
You did great, hon. Your life was great.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't notice I don't think anybody noticed you were nervous or anything. So usually it's all just us being judgmental of ourselves, and like nobody cares.
Nobody cares what you're wearing on the live either, or what you're, you know,
I didn't wear pants once. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, that was
That is true. I remember that.
Who wore
Once
pants?
I actually accidentally flashed everyone.
I always wear pants.
And
Anyway.
make sure that you have on comfortable shoes. So I mainly go live barefoot because my first time, I try to have on these cute shoes. Nobody sees your feet. And I almost fell and busted my face on the live. So now, I only go live in black socks, right? So I'm comfortable. Make sure you're wearing something comfortable and something that you can move in, right? But yeah, go live in socks.
Especially in the winter, right, Nat?
Huh?
Especially in the winter.
Yeah, but I live in Georgia, so it's not. It doesn't get
Representing
too bad.
Georgia. Speaking of representing, guys, thank you so much for being on today's panel. We've got California, we've got Texas, we've got Missouri in the Midwest, we've got Vermont, we've got Georgia and New York on this live panel, as well as selling live tonight. I'm going to put her on solo. We've got Natalie of Collections by Natalie kicking us off at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And she needs to go and get some stuff done for her
Yeah,
life.
I have a sick child.
Oh my God.
And so I got a lot to get done in the next couple. But pretty much this is my preview of some of the items. This is one rack. Lots of sequins. I have some furs, I have leather. I'm gonna be bringing you amazing pieces at amazing prices. So I want y'all to be there at 6 o'clock because I'm very nervous about this early time. I'm not used to going live this early. So make sure that you all follow me. And then Susan, I just want to ask you a question. I do buy everything I fall in love with, but it's not unless it's at a size that I know I can't sell. I may buy it, wear it, and then sell it. Right. So
Right.
I have too much inventory.
We all do. Well, guys, Natalie's live at 6 p.m. and we've got Maggie, who unfortunately cannot make our panel, but I think she's going to chime in with her thoughts in the group later on today. She's going to bring down the house tonight at 9 p.m. EST, and she's representing the great state of Texas, which we have so many Texas not why I say thrifters, but secondhand sellers in our community. Tomorrow, we've got Bonbon, and I will just solo lay out her real fast. Bonnie's going to kick us off at 6 p.m. EST, which is 3 p.m. PST. And she's doing a California Dreamin' theme, right? Right, Bonnie?
California Dreamin' and Hollywood Glam. A lot of it's Hollywood Glam, but there's a lot of, California bright prints and stuff. But Hollywood Glam, baby. Hollywood Glam.
Hollywood Glam, baby.
Awesome.
I should wish I had somewhere to wear some Hollywood Glam too. Anyway, Hollywood Glam.
Thank you, Bonnie. And then Odelia will be live tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
9 p.m. 8 here in Texas.
Yes, and you're doing 20% off everything?
20% off to celebrate 20 years. 20% off every $100. So you spend $100. You spend $100, you only spend $80. You buy $200, you only spend $160. It's 20 for 20. $20, 20% for 20 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And then on Monday, guys, I'm crazy. If you don't know me in real life, I'm insane. So instead of making it 3 days, I made it 4 days. So we've got Monday. Emily Lee Owen of Nancy Sachs will be going live at 6 p.m. EST, representing the great state of Vermont.
I don't know what to say.
Yes, Vermont. And then Alicia will be our last seller at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I cannot wait for both of their live sales. And I think we're all going to be a little bit like, wow, that was quite the live sale weekend come Tuesday. Later on today, really fast, I will be interviewing. I'm going to put myself in solo layout really fast, guys. I will be interviewing the wizard, the founder of Loyal Shops. So Gary will be talking to us. It's going to be a one-on-one interview. He's going to be talking about live sale best practices, how to use Loyal Shops marketing tools, and then how you guys can actually sign up for your own Loyal Shops account. I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday about the end of year live sale opportunities for anyone tuning in, anyone who's involved in Vintage Boss Babes. And one of those opportunities is going to be that you can more easily just run your own bot using Loyal Shops within the Vintage Boss Babes live sale community. So Gary's going to be talking to us more about that. And I'm personally really excited. I've never had a one-on-one interview with Gary. And I'm also going to ask him, like, how did this whole Loyal Shops thing come about? So if you guys are curious about the history, tune in today at 3:30 EST. So that's in about an hour and a half. So with all that said, guys, thank you so much
Thank you
for being. Thank you, guys. I lost Odelia. Wait, she's back. Here we go. I think we lost Bonnie too. But Bonnie, thank you for being a part of it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Sammy.
Awesome, guys. I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you to our live viewers, and we will see you tonight for Natalie at 6 p.m. and Maggie at 9 p.m. All right. Bye, Boss Babes.
Awesome. Bye.